Hello, I would like to welcome you to the Oracle Identity and Access Management Insights session titled Introduction to Upgrading Oracle Access Manager to version 12.2.140. My name is Ken Owens and I'll be your host. This presentation will cover the process of upgrading the OAM product to the 12.2.140 version. A successful upgrade strategy tests your patience and pushes your limits regarding planning, time, and resources. This includes from reading the product documentation to deploying and testing strategies that fit your specific needs. The very first thing you need to do is make sure that your current version of OAM is 12.2.1.3. If it is not, then you'll need to get to this version, as it is the only supported version that can be upgraded to 12.2.1.4 at this time. The Oracle product documentation is the best place to start when attempting an upgrade. The primary Oracle product documentation that we use for this upgrade is the Fusion Middleware Release 12.2.1.4, Upgrading Oracle Identity and Access Management. This upgrade scenarios covered in it are a single node environment covered in Chapter 3, a highly available environment covered in Chapter 4, and a multi-data center environment covered in Chapter 5. The most common steps assume that OAM and WebLogic are the only Oracle products in the Oracle Home and Domain Home. If you want to know about the new features in this version, use the Oracle Access Management 12.2.1.4.0 release notes, What's New in Oracle Access Management. Another document that will get a lot of use is the 12.2.1.4 certification matrix. All these resources are available at the links provided in this slide and will be listed again at the end of this presentation. The primary KM resource used for upgrading OAM is the Upgrade Advisor Guide for OAM 12.2.1.4.0. Think of it as a one-stop shop for the OAM upgrade. It is a compilation of KM notes and the Oracle product documentation. It is very detailed, and it has several other references to additional resources that you may find useful. Listed on this slide are the additional KM resources that may be found useful when upgrading to OAM 12.2.1.4.0. I wanted to identify a few terms that will be used. The term Oracle Fusion Middleware Infrastructure is used and is interchangeable with the term WebLogic or WLS. The term Oracle Identity and Access Management is used and is interchangeable with the term Oracle Access Manager or OAM. The term software is used and interchangeable with the term binaries. And the term deinstall is used and interchangeable with the term uninstall. One of the most common misconceptions is what is considered to be an upgrade. An upgrade is moving the same OAM application to a newer version of that same product line. In our case today, we'll be upgrading OAM 12.2.1.3 to OAM 12.2.1.4. It is not uncommon to think of a migration in the same manner as an upgrade, but it's not. A migration is moving from one specific single sign-on application to another, like moving from Core ID 10G to OAM 11G. The Oracle Home is created for all the Oracle Fusion Middleware products on the host computer. It is a read-only directory that contains the binary files and libraries of the Oracle Common Home directory and the individual product directories for each of the Oracle Fusion Middleware products installed. It is a directory in which you will deinstall and install your software. This directory will include the Oracle Fusion Middleware infrastructure and the Oracle Access Management components. The Oracle_common is a directory that contains the binary and library files that are common to the Oracle Fusion Middleware products and features installed in the Oracle Home. In addition, the Oracle Common Home directory includes the files required for common tools such as Oracle Enterprise Manager, Fusion Middleware Control, the WebLogic scripting tool, the configuration wizard, and other tools. There is only one Oracle Common directory within each Oracle Home. The domain_home is the location in which the domain information and configuration artifacts are stored. Another term used when dealing with the directory structure that I did not show in this slide is the application home, as it is really not used much when dealing with the OAM product. It is a directory where the application related to the domain's configuration will be used. It is the location in which your application data is stored. One of the most important things you can do when upgrading is know your environment. I have selected 8 areas of focus: OAM components and dependencies, topology types, network devices, ports and protocols, communication flow for login, system machine level data, installed Oracle software, and customizations. You may choose to break these areas down further or combine them into fewer areas of focus. The main point is to organize the data into a way that makes it easier for you to understand and to find. However you break them down, the categories are meant to build on one another and adding scope and depth to your understanding of your environment. We will now walk through the steps to upgrade OAM 12213's single node environment to OAM 12214. This environment used to do this demonstration consists of a single node, multiple Oracle products, each in its own Oracle Home and WebLogic domain. We will be upgrading the Oracle Home that contains OAM 12213 product. The upgrade process will include downloading software, installing a new version of the JDK, stopping the services and process on the server to be upgraded, uninstalling the software for OAM and WebLogic, installing the software for WebLogic and OAM, finishing updating the JDK for the domain use, starting the services and processes on the server that was upgraded, address WebGate specific if required. For this upgrade demonstration, the server-specific information includes a single server, operating system Oracle Linux 7 64-bit, 50 GB of disk space. The host name is oam1.vm.oracle.com. No network devices, no customizations, using default standards out-of-the-box ports. Everything is non-SSL. And the security mode for Oracle Access Management Protocol is open. The installed Oracle products are Oracle Database version 12.2.0.1.0. Other Oracle product homes are for OUD and OHS are 12.2.1.3.0, and they use JDK 1.8.0_144. They reside in their own Oracle homes and their own WebLogic domains. And the WebGate is OHS 12.2.3.0. The directory structure, the install location is the Oracle home, the application home, and the domain home as shown on this slide. We will not be actually downloading any software as this has already been done. I downloaded the software from the Oracle Technology Network download page to a staging directory on the server desktop. This included the Oracle Identity and Access Management 12C PS4 infrastructure binaries, the Oracle Identity and Access Management 12C PS4 binaries. In addition to this, I also downloaded the Oracle JDK version that is certified and supported with OAM 122.140. Additionally, all the software has been unzipped or untarred. The JDK used by OAM 12213 in this environment is 1.8.0_144. Is not certified or supported and will be upgraded to 1.8.0_221. In this case, it is not an upgrade of the JDK used by the OS or any other application. It is just downloading and unzipping of the software, which we will point the OAM binaries and domains to use. There are 2 areas that need to be addressed regarding the JDK. The first is the JDK that the Oracle Home uses. There are 2 areas. Remember, the Oracle Home is where the binaries, other metadata, and utility scripts reside, like RCU, Configuration Wizard, or OPatch. When invoked, these scripts refer to the Java Home variable, which is stored in the global env.properties file inside the Oracle Home OUI directory. The JDK version that is being used by OAM was defined during the 12.2.1.3 install and will be redefined during the 12.2.1.4 installation of the software. The second area is the JDK that the domain home uses. The WebLogic domain home uses a JDK version that is defined in the various domain configuration files that were updated when the domain was created. Think of it as everything under the user projects directory. Since this upgrade process does not do anything with the WebLogic domain, some scripts will need to be manually updated once the installation is completed and before the WebLogic servers are started. Now we want to shut everything on this server related to the OAM Oracle home that we'll be upgrading. Then validate there are no WebLogic components running in this Oracle home. Lastly, verifying the database is running. If it is not, then we'll need to be started. At this point in our environment, we have stopped all the Java processes being used for this Oracle home and have verified that the database is up and running. Now that you have stopped the server's process, we can move to the uninstalling of the software. The uninstall wizard will need to be run twice. First, to remove the Oracle Identity and Access Management 12.2.1.3 software, and then second, to remove the WebLogic server from the FMW 12.2.1.3 software. The general information you will see while navigating the uninstall wizard screens are the welcome screen, the uninstall summary, process, and complete screens. Let's start the uninstall of the Oracle Identity Management 12.2.1.3.0 software. To do this, step 1, go to a command prompt. Step 2, change to the Oracle home/OUI/bin directory. Step 3, execute the deinstall script. Step 4, this will bring up the distribution to uninstall screen. Select a distribution to uninstall from the drop-down menu, in this case, Oracle Identity Management 12.2.1.3.0, then select Uninstall button. Step 5, we see the welcome screen. Step 1 of 4, select Next. Step 6, in this we see the deinstallation summary screen, which is step 2 of 4, select Deinstall. Step 7 is the deinstallation progress screen, step 3 of 4. When it reaches 100%, select the Next button. Step 8 is the deinstallation complete screen, step 4 of 4, which is the last screen of the uninstall wizard. Select the Finish button. This returns you back to your command prompt. Now to uninstall the WebLogic server for FMW 12.2.1.3.0. Step 1, go to the command prompt. Step 2, change to the Oracle Home OUI/bin directory. Step 3, execute the deinstall script. Step 4, note this time we do not see the distribution to uninstall screen, so there's nothing to select as there's only one product remaining, the infrastructure. We now see the welcome screen, step 1 of 4. Select the Next button. Step 5, we see the deinstallation summary screen, step 2 of 4. Let's go ahead and select the Deinstall button. Step 6 is the Deinstall progress screen, step 3 of 4. When it reaches 100%, select the Next button. Step 7 is the Deinstall complete screen, step 4 of 4. Select the Finish button. This returns you back to the command prompt. Now that we have deinstalled the software, we will need to clean up the Oracle Home directory structure. To view what directories and files that are left, we will execute the command ls--al. Notice the hidden directory called .patch_storage. This is only seen since we use the -a argument. If we've just used the ls command, it would not list this hidden directory, which could lead to an issue later on. Notice the directory called User Projects. During the initial 12.2.1.3 install, the default location was taken from the domain home. This directory should not be deleted. Notice the file domain-registry.xml. It should not be deleted as it is used by the home of the WebLogic scripts to retrieve the domain information. Delete all other directories and files in this location. Now we're ready to install the software. The install wizard will need to be run twice. First for the Fusion Middleware 12.2.1.4.0 infrastructure software, and second for the Oracle Identity and Access Management 12.2.1.4.0 software. When navigating the install wizard, you will see the screen detailed on this slide and the next. Step 1. Install the JDK software that will be used. Unzip it and note the location. In our case, the location is /refresh/home/JDK/JDK 1.8.0_221. Step 2. Change to the directory where the Fusion Middleware Infrastructure jar is located. Because I chose to leave the directory and the file in place, we will need to use the argument that counts for this when launching the installer. As a point of interest, there is another option. We could have moved the directory and file to a different location. Then when the installations were completed, we could move them back. Anyways, step 3, to start the install wizard for the Oracle Fusion Middleware Infrastructure 12.2.1.4, execute command as seen in the slide. Notice the -no validation argument being used and the Java location. Continue step 3. This is the welcome screen, step 1 of 8. Select the next button. Step 4 is the auto update screen, step 2 of 8. Select the skip auto updates and then select the next button. Step 5 is installation location, step 3 of 8. This should be the same location as the previous OAM 12.2.1.3 install Oracle Home. Then select the next button. Step 6, this is the installation type screen, step 4 of 8. Select Fusion Middleware Infrastructure, then the next button. Step 7, this is the prerequisite check screen, step 5 of 8. Select the next button. Step 8 is the installation summary screen, step 6 of 8. Select the install button. Step 9 is the installation progress screen, step 7 of 8. When it reaches 100%, select the next button. Step 10 is the installation complete screen, 8 of 8. Select the finish button. This returns you back to the command prompt. Now we're going to install the Oracle Identity and Access Management 12.2.1.4.0 software. Remember the JDK location used for the infra install, as we will use it again for the Oracle Identity and Access Management install. Step 1, change to the directory where the Fusion Middleware 12.2.1.4.0 idm.jar software is located. Step 2, execute the command as shown on this slide. Step 3, this is the welcome screen, step 1 of 8. Select the next button. Step 4, this is the auto update screen, step 2 of 8. Select the skip auto updates, then select the next button. Step 5, this is the installation location screen, 3 of 8. This should be the same location as the previous OAM 12.2.1.3 installs, Oracle Home. Select the next button. This is step 6. This is the installation type screen, 4 of 8. Interesting about this screen, even though there is an option for standalone, OAM does not support this, so we need to make sure that the co-located option is selected. Select the next button. Step 7, this is the prerequisite check screen, step 5 of 8. Select the next button. Step 8, this is the installation summary screen, step 6 of 8. Select the install button. Step 9, this is the installation progress screen, step 7 of 8. When it reaches 100%, select the next button. Step 10, this is the installation complete screen, 8 of 8. Select the finish button. This returns you back to the command prompt. We are now done with the installation of the software. Now that the install is done, we will need to upgrade the JDK used by the domain. Remember, since the JDK was upgraded, the JDK used by the domain home will need to be upgraded manually before starting the WebLogic servers. At a minimum, the required update to the new location of the JDK will need to be done in the following three files: the domain home /bin set nmjavahome.sh, the domain home /node manager node manager.properties, and the domain home bin /set domain env. Make a copy of each file. Search each one for these files for the occurrences of the old value refresh home JDK 1.8.0_114 and replace them with the new value of /refresh/home /JDK 1.8.0_121. The good news is there is nothing that should need to be done for the existing WebGates to work. When it comes to the WebGate, I did not have to do anything other than restart the respective web servers. The current WebGates were 11.1.2.3 and 12.2.1.3.0 continue to work with Oracle Access Manager 12.2.1.4.0. Nothing additional had to be done. Some things to point out. A best practice is to have the WebGate at the latest bundle patch version available. For more information, refer to the KM notes shown on the slide. The only 12.2.1.4 WebGate that are available or that are currently available are the OHS and OTD that come with the 12.2.1.4 OHS web server. The non-12.2.4.1 gates will not be able to utilize the latest OAM server communication WebGate feature, OPAP over REST. For more information about the 12.2.1.4 WebGate, refer to the KM note shown Getting to Know the Oracle HTTP Server 12c WebGate. This is an informational slide. We are not going to any detail. There is no independent OHS WebGate install. It is part of the OHS server install. If you want to upgrade to OHS or OTD WebGate to 12.2.1.4, you'll have to upgrade the OHS server itself per the listed documentation links. After you upgrade the web server, edit the WebGate profile and copy the WebGate artifacts to the WebGate config folder. See upgrading to OHOTT 12.2.1.4 WebGate in the Installing WebGates for the Oracle Access Manager. Then start the WebGates. Now that the installation is finished and the JDK for the domain home is upgraded, we can now go ahead and start the WebLogic component admin managed and node manager if applicable. Over the next few slides, we are going to go over some ways to validate the versions of the JDK, WebLogic server, and the OAM server components. The same process to validate the respective versions can be applied pre or post upgrade. To validate the version of the JDK used by the Oracle home, we use the get property script. Get to the command prompt, change to the OAM home /OUI/bin directory, execute the get property.sh as shown in this slide. Note we had to pass the argument called Java_home. This returns the JDK location, which shows the JDK that was used during the installation, which is /refresh/home /JDK /JDK 1.8.0_221. To validate the version of the JDK used by the domain home, use the java-version command. From the command prompt, change to the Oracle home user projects domains base domain bin directory. Source the set domain env script, then execute the command java-version. This returns the JDK version, which shows the JDK version used by the domain. Note this returned the same value of the JDK used by OAM binaries as shown in the previous slide as expected. Now we will verify the WLS version by reviewing the registry.xml file. From the command prompt, change to the Oracle home /inventory directory. Verify the registry.xml file and search for the value WebLogic using the command as shown. This returns the WebLogic version of 12.2.1.4.0. To verify the WebLogic version by using the Java class WebLogic version, from a command prompt, change to the Oracle home /WLS server/server/lib directory. Execute the Java command as shown. This returns the version 12.2.1.4.0. To verify the OAM version, we will first use the view inventory script. From a command prompt, change to the Oracle home OUI bin directory. Execute the command as shown. This returns the version 12.2.1.4.0. To verify the OAM version, we will now use the opatch ls inventory script and the resulting ls inventory output file location. From a command prompt, change to the Oracle home opatch directory. Execute the command as shown. This will show a log file location. Now we will use the cat command to display from the log file location from the previous slide to show the OAM version. Execute the command as shown. This returns the Oracle Access Manager 12.2.1.4.0. In regards to troubleshooting, I did not run into any issues other than the potential ones related to making sure you do not delete the user directories project. And when running into the WLS infrastructure, to use the -no validation argument since we left files and the directories in the Oracle home. In regards to the upgrading the JDK after the install, if you want to know how to do this, it is covered in the upgrade documentation. I felt the method used in this demonstration was an easier approach. This presentation covered upgrading OAM to 12.2.1.4.0 for a single node environment, where single node means one WebLogic admin and one managed server running on the same server. Two other environments that are covered in the documentation and were not covered here are excuse me, the highly available multi-node environment, where the multi-node means a WebLogic cluster consisting of multiple managed servers running OAM. Think of it as upgrading multiple single node environments. The other is the multi-data center environment, which consists of a master data center and a clone data center, which consists of WebLogic OAM clusters consisting of one or more than OAM single node. The point I'm trying to make here is that if you understand the process to upgrade a single node environment, the same process can be used for highly available multi-node environments or multi-data center environments, with just the exceptions when the WLS servers are stopped and started during the upgrade process. When dealing with an MDC environment, there are several other things that you have to be done and then undone prior to the actual upgrade process. In the upgrade process used in this presentation, the JDK was defined at the install time of the binaries and then manually changed for the domain level. This upgrade is not like any previous OAM upgrade. In its simplest form, it is just the removal of the 12.2.1.3 software and the installation of the 12.2.1.4 software on as many OAM nodes that are required, based on the environment they are deployed in. We have given reasons as to why it's important to know your environment, provided the documentation and CAM notes that are needed to be successful. Let's recap the high-level steps to upgrade. Install the new version of the JDK, stop the services and process on the OAM server, uninstall the software for the OAM and WebLogic, excuse me, install the software for WebLogic and OAM, finish updating the JDK used by the WebLogic domain, start the services and processes on the server. If needed, address WebGate specifics, and validate the JDK, WLS, and OAM versions. Here is a listing of good reference material of OAM product documentation and CAM notes as they apply to the 12.2.1.4.0 upgrade. Think of the CAM nail Oracle Access Manager OAM Upgrade Advisor Master List doc as a starting point. From here, you can find the upgrade advisor that applies to you, and the advisor guide, you will find the needed resources to complete the upgrade. That concludes this presentation.